Waka Flocka has been Waka Flocka Flame, somebody who I've not heard from in a very, very long time, since he had an absolutely insane run when he kind of first burst onto the scene. Especially if you were in college at the time, his music, his energy was felt pretty much all across the US on pretty much every campus that you could think of. So it's been quite a long time since I've heard that name. So to see his name kind of pop up in this very controversial way, seemingly he was capping. He seemed to have been faking some things. Let's see what they're talking about.
Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. I hope you're doing well. We're only a few days in this year and it's already starting off insane. This story involves one of the most legendary trap artists of all time. That would be one Waka Flocka Flame. I mean, just last year on the main channel, I did a classic review of his breakout album Flockavelli, which...
Absolute classic, banger, hard in the paint, like Grove Street Party, something like that. But like he had some absolutely classic bangers. He kind of came at the tail end of, let's say, like crunk music, but he kind of brought that energy back to a way that you had not felt. And it was like, damn, that shit was a special time. So like to just kind of get those flashbacks of those times, listen to like Hard in the Paint, that was a classic album.
Between his vocals and the amazing hard-hitting production of Lex Luger, they together made one of the most explosive, hard-hitting trap albums of all time that honestly helped put the genre on the map and form it into what it is today. Now,
I mean, he's calling it trap. I don't even know if I'll call that trap. I don't really consider that trap. I consider like future trap. I consider Jeezy trap. I consider stuff like that trap. This is definitely much more of a crunk variant with some elements of like modern trap, but it's definitely like more crunk than anything else. This was just straight up ridiculous, high energy, turned up music.
Now, truth be told, Waka has not had quite as much commercial success in the wake of that record, unfortunately, even if he has had some other solid releases put under his belt since that album. And I feel like without a buzzing music career to preoccupy him, a lot of his social media activity has gotten weirder and weirder. Like not too long ago, he went full.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
I mean, at this point, like seeing him and Trump and seeing like rappers and Trump, like it's not even surprising. It's basically the playbook these days. Like if you are a struggling, basically failing, washed up rapper who does not get any play musically or even in social media, like you're no longer part of the conversation in terms of hip hop and the culture in general, it seems to be the move. The general move for these type of artists and rappers is, let me go cozy up with Trump. Let me take a picture of Trump. At least I'll get in the headlines. At least I'll be talked about. At least I'll be trending, even if it's for an hour on Twitter or whatnot. So it's not even surprising. Like that shit doesn't even like surprise me or shock me or like have any sort of reaction these days, because that just seems to be the general playbook for somebody whose career is basically washed at this point.
MAGA and essentially came out as a Trump supporter. Now we have this story over here on theneedledrop.com. Waka Flocka Flame pretends he got jumped to prove how fake news spreads. We'll link this in the
What?
Run that back. Run that title back. What did he say?
Drop.com. Waka Flocka Flame pretends he got jumped to prove how fake news spreads.
So Waka Flocka thinks he's playing like 4D chess here. To prove how fake news spreads, which I mean, at this point, everybody knows how fake news spreads. Everybody knows fake news is a thing. It's not really like some revelation that something can catch fire on the internet and be completely false. To prove a point that didn't need to be proven, he made his own fake news and spread it himself to prove his own point. Some dudes just think they're a lot smarter than they are. I'll tell you that right now.
We'll link this in the D box. Shout out to Dylan for getting it up. This morning, stories on social media started circulating with a hefty dose of both concern and speculation after rapper Waka Flocka Flame posted a photo on Threads showing his face bruised and battered with the caption claiming he had been attacked by 10 men in a violent altercation. Here.
Okay. I mean, first of all, that shit is crazy. If you did that to yourself to prove a point, how desperate for clout are you? How desperate for clout are you? Seriously. I mean, again, just to recap this, to prove a point that fake news spreads and how fast it spreads, which I don't think need to be proved in any type of way. If you are in the internet or on the internet at any kind of level at this point in your life, you should understand that fake news, fake headlines, fake stories is a very, very big part of the internet, if not like 90% of the internet. But to prove that point, you beat yourself up, posted a picture with the caption saying you got beat up, and then are surprised that people ran with that. When the source for your own story is you would be the direct source. It's not like somebody else saw that, tweeted it, and people ran with it. You posted it. You said you got beat up, and you're surprised people believed you. Big brain activities, let me tell you.
Here's the picture that Waka Flocka himself posted. Multiple news outlets then went on to post stories about it. And in response, Waka Flocka Flame essentially comes out and says, hey, I lied in some kind of attempt at a gotcha. Not a single media outlet that reported on my shit reached out to me or my team to confirm anything. They ran with a caption as they headline, imagine a world where facts ain't checked and a IG post can...
Again, the direct source for you getting beat up personally, your own personal story, the direct source is you and your official page, and you're surprised people ran with that. Now, I agree with you if you are a true media outlet, not even media, if you are a news outlet, you should be checking your sources, reaching out, doing your research, doing your homework to provide the truest stories. That is the function of news and news outlets. But if you are a media outlet, which is a very loose term these days, like anything and everything can be basically considered a media outlet, do they have that same sort of level of standards to be expected and required from like an academics? Do you expect academics to reach out and do his research and find out the truth for all of these things? Let's be real. No, they are bloggers. They are opinion makers. They are people that create content for clicks. That's it. And even though they should, if they are reporting on technically news stories, even though I don't think that is a newsworthy news story, you should reach out. Now, if he's saying media outlets didn't reach out, or if he's saying like actual news outlets didn't reach out, because if actual news outlets did in fact reach out, which I don't even think they would, because I don't even think they would even care to post this as a news story, then they did the function of news. They did exactly what they're supposed to be doing. But if a media outlet, say like a Joe Budden, academics, Yes Jules, TMZ did not reach out, even though TMZ actually does reach out. They actually do a pretty good, decent job of that, even though they put out a lot of trash content. I don't really hold them to the same standards, and I don't really see what the issue is.
Steer a string of hashtag news. Okay, I'm proud of you for your gotcha and everything, but let me say this, and for warning, I'm gonna get a little loud here, but like, you can't get mad at fake news when you are the one who spread the fake news! Not only that, but you publicly did it on your own account using your own face! Look.
That's exactly what I was just saying. If somebody else would have posted this and put this out, or a fake account posted this and put this out, and outlets started running with this and post this like this is the truth, you might have more of a point. But because it came from your direct official account with a picture and a caption that you created and provided, that is as close to the source as you can possibly get. I'm just saying.
Look, I mean, it is true. Journalists, generally speaking, should have due diligence when it comes to posting stories and thorough research. I feel like that's something we all generally agree with, and we didn't need Waka Flocka Flame to come out and do this in order to prove that point. That's a pretty uncontroversial take. But the thing is, if this is something you were really trying to get people to realize and understand, wouldn't you, I don't know, have this news passed through a proxy or something like that? Somebody who isn't you? Weird take here, I know, but people, generally speaking, tend to presume the person posting from a verified social media account attached to a public figure is that public figure posting and making a statement. Sure, accounts get hacked here and there, but simultaneously, you also posted a picture of your beat up face. Again, I could understand this argument if Waka Flocka had this rumor started through a popular account or something like that, and then nobody did the legwork to verify whether or not it was actually true. Okay, I get that. But in this case, in the case that you created, the person who got beat up is also the source of the information of
Exactly. It just does not make sense. It just does not make sense.
the beating. And you further sealed the deal again with a very believable photo. Like, at the end of the day, I don't feel like this is so much a story about fake news as much as it's a story about a guy lying. Like, if hypothetically one of these news organizations did reach out to you, what were you going to do? Just be like, oh no, actually, I didn't get beat up, I lied? At that point, what reason would that publication, or even all of us watching this video and me making this video right now, for what reason should we believe you at this point? Like, even now, what if you did actually get beat up and, I don't know, you're just lying about not getting beat up now? How deep does this Flockaception run? I mean, I could reach out to Waka Flocka Flame over a DM on Instagram or something at this point, and I consider doing so, but the thing is, I wouldn't know what to believe regardless of what his answer would be. Like, what is the origin of this photo? Is this picture actually from a beating?
I'm very curious to see where he got this picture from. Did he literally beat his own ass? What did he do to get that picture? Was a Photoshop? What did you do? You went through all of this trouble to prove what?
You get a really good makeup job here done? Again, I agree with the sentiment that news organizations should be putting in more effort to check their facts and everything like that. And I'm glad that my site didn't run with the story immediately when news of this came out. But at the end of the day, this wasn't just like some random unsubstantiated rumor that came out of nowhere and people just believed with no verification whatsoever. This is information, true or not, that came from you. You are the guy. You are the authority on whether or not you get beat up. And you told us with your own thumbs on your own social media that you got beat up and people believed it. So at the end of the day, I feel like all Waka Flocka Flame has done here is not undermined our trust in the news media, but more just undermined our trust in him. How do we know if anything he's saying is on the level past this point, if he's willing to lie about whether or not he's gotten the shit beat out of him? But yeah.
Again, it's the weirdest story, weirdest thing. Like, I don't understand what he was trying to prove here. I don't even think he understands what he was trying to prove here. As Fantano, Melonhead pointed out very accurately, it would have made more sense if you would have handed this off to a third party, somebody else to post this, and then the media outlets ran with it without checking with you, the source. But when you yourself are the source because it is from your official account with photo proof, I don't think you can count on that and categorize that as fake news. Because why would I have to reach out, especially if I'm just a media outlet, to check in with you when you literally posted it from your own account? That don't make sense. Now, it does raise a question of, the ongoing conversation about fake news and false stories and just the detriment that, the internet has on public's trust of facts and reality. But again, I make a distinct difference between media outlet and news outlet. Media outlet is like a complex, is like academics, is like a needle drop, is like all of these companies whose main source of content and revenue is clicks, is rumor mills, is stories. News outlets, let's see, NBC, ABC, CBS, NPR, they have a different level of journalistic integrity that I think they need to uphold and be held to, as opposed to a Variety, a Hollywood Reporter, academics. So I don't really see what point he was trying to prove here outside of like Fantano said. Why are we paying attention to Waka Flocka in 2025? That seems to be the only point that I've gotten from this. There's a reason why people are not talking about you, because you do antics and dumb shit like this. And then you think this is like big brain activity. I know there were greenery involved in this. I know you were smoking one night and thought, you know what? I'm going to show them. I'm going to do something so wild, so crazy. They're going to be discussing this. I'm going to be the smartest man on the internet. And that is the worst thing about the internet. It is the greatest invention and worst invention in all of human history. You have access to the most information, the world's knowledge at your fingertips, and yet it's made people stupider. Like, it's made people think, it's made everyone think that they're the smartest person in the room. And that is the worst state a world can be in. Let's be real. The dumbest action I've seen from Waka Flocka, and there's a reason why he's been less in the past, and clearly was desperate for some clout. Sad to see.